Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Dameion Bland checking in. It's your op Dameion Bland. It's your coach Bland. Yeah, man. So this is a lecture that I came up with trying to find out who the African American people were. Trying to really find out knowledge of self, right? This lecture was last saved on December 1st of 2018. So they give you kind of an idea of how long it was since I've touched this information. I want to preface this presentation by saying that this is a presentation that has been led by the Most High, because I waited to present this, so I felt like it was time to present it, and today is that time. I feel like. All right. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope that you're edified from it. I pray that you get something from it, and it leads you closer to truth and leads you closer to serving Hey, shalom, shalom. It's your brother Dameion Bland checking in. It's your op Dameion Bland. It's your coach Bland. Yeah, man. So this is a lecture that I came up with trying to find out who the African American people were. Trying to really find out knowledge of self, right? This lecture was last saved on December 1st of 2018. So they give you kind of an idea of how long it was since I've touched this information. I want to preface this presentation by saying that this is a presentation that has been led by the Most High, because I waited to present this, so I felt like it was time to present it, and today is that time. I feel like. All right. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope that you're edified from it. I pray that you get something from it, and it leads you closer to truth and leads you closer to serving Yahuwah. All right. So let's get started. Identity crisis. Who are the African American people in America? You have to make a decision. You can take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You can take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. I'm only offering you the truth, nothing more. Alright, that's from the Matrix, if you guys have seen that. Alright, we gotta unplug. Hopefully this lecture helps you unplug a little bit today. So this is why I started. What is your nationality? Most people struggle with this question. If you ask the average person this question, they will struggle with answering it. That tells me a lot. Well, if you ask the average African American, they will struggle with this. So nationality is the status of belonging to a particular nation. So, are we black? Is black our nationality? So to find that out, I had to define the term black. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, black is used as an adjective. Right? It's used as an adjective. It's a color. The term black was used by black people themselves in the 1960s to replace the word Negro. Black is a color, not a nationality. Black is a color, not a nationality. And I have for one of our footnotes, Black is also used to denote certain characteristics, such as very evil or wicked, full of anger, and just black people. So it's a negative connotation that comes with the term black, and black is not a nationality. Let's move forward. Are we African Americans? Right. So when I got to researching this, I came to find out that uh, Jesse Jackson is really one of the first people to make this term African American, um, like worldwide, for to be normal, the norm, right? So let's look at it. The Oxford English Dictionary traced its documented occurrences of African American back as far as 1835. The related term was Afro American. So in 1835, that's when it was first documented, that we can find it documented. Fred Shapiro was surprised to be led to a 1782 sermon published in Philadelphia. So the English Oxford Dictionary has it dated as 1835, but we have Fred Shapiro. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He found a document from 1782 that was published in Philadelphia. The sermon was titled A Sermon on the Capture of Lord Cornwallis. The title page of the pamphlet includes the byline by an African American. Richard Newman, a scholar of African American history and now director of Library Company of Philadelphia, says he's not sure that the author was a person of color, despite the byline. And as you can see here on this slide, you can see that I have a picture of that pamphlet. The tone and style of the pamphlet diverged from some key aspects of black writing at the time, Newman says, where many African Americans emphasized the story of Exodus. Where many African Americans emphasized the story of Exodus, which highlighted biblical prophecy that unrepentant masters would be punished by a righteous God. The theme of this Old Testament story would surely have resonated with both slaves and free blacks. The mighty will fall. Nevertheless, the biblical exegesis that follows focuses more on keeping the faith in the Lord rather than smiting slaveholders. So, in the tone of the pamphlet was kind of biblically based, even with that term Afro-American. Let's move forward. Are we Negroes? I think we might have missed something on this last slide. Give me 1 second. Can we go back? Okay, we're going to keep moving. All right, we're going to keep moving. Because I'm not sure how to work this, so we're going to just keep moving for the sake of time. So, are we Negroes? So, we're not black. We're not African American. And now we're going to find out, are we Negroes? Negro. The etymology, so etymology just means origin. According to the Etymology Online Dictionary, Negro originated in the 1550s from Spanish or Portuguese Negro, black, which derived from a member of a black-skinned race of Africa. All right, more simply, it came from the Portuguese. All right, and what they said, they used the term Negro, just meaning black. Right? According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the word Negro was adopted from Spanish and Portuguese and first recorded from the mid-16th century. The word Negro comes from the Latin word niger, meaning black. So why does this date back to the Portuguese? So I had to do a little bit more digging after I found out it dated back to the Portuguese, right? So Portugal gave birth to the transatlantic slave trade in 1441. Mm. According to Portuguese Royal Consular, James Annis de Serraria was a young ship captain named Gonzales who sailed to West Africa in 1441, hoping to acquire seal skins and oil. After obtaining his cargo, Gonzales called a meeting of the 21 sailors who accompanied him and unveiled his plan to increase their profits. According to Gonzales, he told his crew, "We have already got our cargo, but how fair a thing would it be if we who have come to this land for a cargo of such petty merchandise were to meet with good fortune and bring the first captives before the presence of our prince." Mm. That night, Gonzales led a raiding party into Cap Blanc, a narrow peninsula between western Sahara and Mauritania. Right? So Gonzales ended up bringing a dozen captives back. Right? They ended up bringing a dozen captives back. I'm very brief on this, but there's more research, man. You can go to a YouTube page, Benaniah Israel. Shout out. He definitely goes into detail about this. But he brought these captives back with them. They went there for merchandise and they brought back black people. Right? Negroes. And this was the birth of the transatlantic slave trade. Let's move forward. Are we Moors? So what brings me to this? Are we Moors? Because those people that Gonzales had took captive in 1441 were also known as Moors. There's books out there that says when the Moors ruled Spain, right? And these were individuals that were controlling Spain. And then we'll go into, I'm sure this will go into more detail on that. All right, European definitions. The Moors were a nomadic people from North Africa. Originally, they were the inhabitants of Mauritania. They invaded Spain, taking their Muslim culture with them in 1711, where they overran the Visigoths. According to Britannica Encyclopedia, the Moors were a member of the Muslim population of what is now Spain and Portugal. All right. The origin of the English term Moor is the Greek word marvero, which literally means black, blackened or charred, and has long been used to describe black or very dark things, such as Marvi Telesio, which refers to the Black Sea, or Marvu Spilla, which means black cave. Ancient Greeks used the term to describe the complexion of Africans. So the term Moor goes back to the term black. So those two words are synonymous. I have as a footnote here, writers in both Greek and Latin specifically use the term as a racial identity. In the Epitome de Calabresis, we learned that Armilius was Moor by race. So the term Moor just means black, so it's still not a nationality. Let's go forward. And this is L'Amour, the Moor. This is the artist Christian Rand specifically entitled this painting L'Amour, French for the Moor. This is what one of the Moors would have looked like during that time. You say this was a paint from what, 1632. All right, the Papal Bull, 1455. So why is this important? Okay, I'm gonna brief it before I go through the slides or through the bullets, as this was a document that allowed the Roman Catholic Church to come into Africa and basically take slaves. All right, do your research on this. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. All right, but let's start here. The Papal Bull is a type of public decree, letters, patent, or charter issued by a pope of the Roman Catholic Church. The Papal Bull of 1455 justified the expansion of black African slavery within the early Iberian colonies and the acquisition of more African captives and territory. This bull became the basis for Portugal's later claim to lands in the New World. Remember, we was talking about Gonzalez. After he took those 12 slaves captive, he went back and got a paperwork to say he can come do it again and get more. Right? This bull led to Portugal collaborating with the Roman Catholic Church and developing the Spanish Inquisition. Right? The Spanish Inquisition can also be known as the Hebrew Inquisition. Let's keep going. The Hebrew Inquisition, aka the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was the organization set up by the Roman Catholic Church in Spain in 1478 to punish people who opposed its beliefs. Known for its cruel and severe methods towards the Jews and Moors. Alright, so we see here that the Spanish Inquisition was really the start of the transatlantic slave trade. Let's go for it. I digress. Let's go for it. The Inquisition led to the Pope outlawing. So these are the things that the Inquisition led to. Alright. And before I even get there, I know y'all can see the slide, but before we get there, these people that were Moors were blacks. Right? That term Moor means black. They were actually Hebrews that were living there. Or what we would say as Jews today. Right? And that leads to why the Inquisition led to the Pope outlawing these things. It outlawed the Sabbath, which is the fourth of the Ten Commandments. They outlawed the Passover, outlawed the Feast of Tabernacles. It outlawed all of the Most High feast days, and outlawed expecting the Messiah to deliver the Jews from bondage. Right? The Moors were mixed with the Jews during the Inquisition, which were people of color. Why were they together but classified differently? My opinion is divide and conquer. It was really all one people that was serving one way and one God. Let's go forward. This is two portraits of Moors, right? You can see here on this first portrait, see if I can get the pointer up here. Right here, this first portrait. It's it says another black knight, noble of the Holy Roman Empire of Germany, founded in 800 AD by Charlemagne, who was supposedly falsely identified as Saint Maurice in order to hide his true identity. Note the medieval clothing armor, the bishop who is taking a tongue lashing from the Black Knight as identified as Albert Brandenburg, who was a cardinal and elector of the Holy Roman Empire in 1490. Research has revealed that in reality the so-called Saint Maurice was actually the person of Ulrich and von Hutten, who was a German scholar, poet, and reformer. He was an outspoken critic of the Roman Catholic Church and a bridge between the Humanists and the Lutheran Reformation. He was also a leader of the Imperial Knights of the Holy Roman Empire. So as you can see, this was a leader from Rome speaking with one of the Moors, right? This is during the time of where they was coming over to take these people and take them as slaves, right? And the Moors were in power in Spain during that time, so he had to go through him. On this other picture, this is one of the princes, one of the Moors. As you can see by the way he's dressed, he was not a poor people. These were not a poor people, despite of what we see here in America. All right, let's move forward. My slide kind of cutting off here, but this is what happened to the Muslims, Moors, and Jews, Hebrew Israelites, after the fall of Spain in 1492. Okay, so I know it's a couple holes in the PowerPoint, right? So the reason why I have Muslims, Moors, because once you start getting into your research, you'll see that they'll say that these Moors that were living there were Muslim. But I came to find out that they was actually Hebrews. But let's move forward. Right, this is what happened after the fall. March 1492, the Spanish monarch signed an edict forcing the Jews out of Spain. There was a mass exodus, and hundreds of thousands of Jews, the exiled Jews, people, and Moors, were taken to Istanbul to avoid any further mass killing or genocide. For the remaining Moors and Jews who wanted to stay in Spain, they were ordered to abandon their faith and convert to Catholicism. The Moors, Jews controlled Spain at the time, were forced to give up power to the Portuguese, who allied with the Roman Catholic Church to form the Spanish Inquisition. The Portuguese and the Romans used the papal bull to expand to other lands to take slaves captive. They expanded to Spain and conquered the Moors and forced them to convert from Muslim to Christianity, known as the Granada Wars, while taking the Moors, Jews, as Israelites as slaves. So the Roman Catholic Church basically came in and converted these people to Christianity. And the things we read before, they cut off was like the Sabbath day. So that gives us more insight that these people weren't really Muslim, as history would kind of try to manipulate us to believe. But I digress. Let's go forward. This is Queen Kahana, all right? A Hebrew sorceress who descended from the Beta Israel community of Ethiopian Jews. She was also considered to be a Moor, queen because of where she lived in Africa. So they also call her a Moor. See what I'm saying? They also call her a Moor. But this is coming out as that she was a Jew. She resisted the Arab expansion into North Africa. She fell with many others and converted to the Arab religion, Muslim. So when the Arabs came over to invade Africa, Northeast Africa, she resisted. She tried to fight them off, right? But she couldn't. So what happened? she couldn't, they made them convert to being Muslim. So these people were never Muslim. These these Moors, these black people, these Hebrew Israelites were actually Hebrews serving Yahweh. Her death was around 705 CE, which was before the Hebrew Inquisition. This birthed of the Arab slave trade and started the Israelite Moors to be known as Muslims. Wow. So now there you have it. The Arab slave trade, what took place before the Inquisition, converted these Moors or these Hebrews to Muslims. Let's go forward. More evidence of Moors/Jews converting to Catholicism, Christianity in the 1570. In 1570. So in this picture, man, as you can see, that you have these black people riding on horses. And what do they have? You can see it's a lot going on here, but the ones that's on horses, they have crosses on them. It's a clear sign that they had converted. And as you can see that the others that's here in this same picture, it's some fighting going on. There's just a lot of movement going on. So it looks like it's a transitioning period. The people that wanted to stay in power and keep their position, they converted. The other ones that did not, they died. They converted to what? Christianity. Alright, gotta unplug the matrix. Let's go forward. So let's tie up the loose ends for an understanding. Alright. The Moors got their name from being black and living in Mauritania. Mauritania is a country in northwest Africa. That is where Gonzalez went first when he got those first slaves captive, right? That's where the Moors got their name, from being black in northwest Africa. The Papal Bull allowed the King of Portugal to send inhabitants to explore West Africa to find slaves. Number 3, the Jews from West Africa, also known as the Moors, controlled Spain. Let me read that again. The Jews from West Africa, who were also known as the Moors, they controlled Spain. The Jews were known as Moors or Muslims after the Arab expansion to northwest Africa. The Portugal king allied with the Roman Catholics to start the Hebrew Inquisition, which forced the Moors/Jews to convert to the Roman religion, i.e. Christianity. Those who refused became slaves. And I do want you to know, I do have some sources in this to back up everything that I'm saying, okay? Most of the Moors/Jews decided to become Catholics and enslave the Israelites that were dwelling in West Africa during the time. This all birthed the transatlantic slave trade, which we know brought us to America in 1619. The Arabs we see today are northern Turks, Greeks, Romans, and other European nations. The Moors and the Jews, Hebrews, are synonymous and were black. They were black, but that was not their nationality. Neither was African American. Let's go forward. Are we Hebrew Israelites? All right, so I went through the term Negro, well, colored, Negro, black, African American, Moor. Because we got a lot of our people believe that they are Moors out here. A lot. So after I came through all those things, and I came to find out that, man, the Roman Catholic Church converted these people to what we say Christianity, and took away their feast days, the Passover, and those type of things that the Hebrews were keeping, the custom of the Hebrews. So that raised the question: then, are we Hebrew Israelites? Is that our nationality? Because that's what it sounds like. So, a descendant of Jacob. So, what is a Hebrew Israelite? A descendant of Jacob, especially a member of the Hebrew people who inhabited the ancient kingdom of Israel. One of a group considered by its members or by others as God's chosen people. A nation of people that will go into slavery. A what? A nation of people that will go into slavery. A what? A nation of people that will go into slavery, like the Arab slave trade and the Portugal, the Roman Catholic Church, the transatlantic slave trade. A nation of people that will go into slavery because of its disobedience to God's laws, statutes, and commandments. That Bible coming to life, ain't it? All right, let's keep going. Slide 17. We got a lot more to cover. So who are we really? What is our nationality? Is it black? Is it Moor? Is it Muslim? Is it Negro? Is it African American? Or is it true Jew, the Hebrew Israelite? What is it? By this point, we should start to get to see who we are. Right? The world should see it. Hallelujah. It's been hidden. And I do want to say before I go forward, right? Before we go forward, I am not a racist by any means. I am not a racist by any means. I love all nations of people. More than I love all nations of people, I love the Most High, Yahuwah, and I love the truth. And the truth cannot be hid forever. Let's go forward. So who are we really? We are the true Jews, the Hebrew Israelites, the children of light, the bearers of civilization and compassion, the golden ones, the first people. The terms black, Negro, Moor, African American are all bywords. The terms black, Negro, Moor, African American are all bywords. I will now give you proof of who the true Jews or Hebrews are. And before I go forward, the term byword, let me get my phone out so I make sure I'm giving y'all a proper definition. And y'all can do your research. It won't take me long. Alright? The term byword, a person or thing cited as notorious and outstanding, example or embodiment of something. A person or thing cited as notorious or an outstanding example or embodiment of something. Let's go. So basically, a byword is a slang term to be derogatory towards a group of people, to explain a group of people. Right? Now let's keep going. I'll now give you proof of who the true Jews really are. The true Hebrew Israelites are black indeed. Here's how I will prove this. I will prove this through history, scripture, and the spirit of truth. All right. History. This is the first portion how I will prove this. quotes, and now I'm saying I'm proving this because I was proving this to myself because I was trying to disprove this at this point. But all these things started to tie together, and I was like, wow. So now I'm gonna prove this to you because it was proven to me, right? History. Quotes from influential people. Quotes from 1400s to the 1900s. About the transatlantic slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade. So I'm gonna give you some quotes here and some history. All right. All right. Proof. A quote from the document, the chapter concerning a mountain inhabited by Jews. All right. This is a quote from the document entitled "The Chapter Concerning a Mountain Inhabited by Jews." The quote reads, "At the end of 8 days, we found a mountain which appeared to be 10 or 12 miles in circumference, in which mountain in western Arabia there dwell 4 or 5 thousand Jews who go naked and are in height 4 or 5 spans and have a feminine voice and are more black than any other color." What? These Jews was what? Are more black than any other color. This is a direct quote now. They live entirely upon the flesh of sheep and eating nothing else. So they didn't eat pork. They went eating shrimp. They ate sheep and nothing else. They are circumcised and confess that they are Jews. And if they can get a more Muslim into their hands, they skin him alive. That was from an Italian traveler, also known as Barthema. Can't pronounce his last name. Y'all got the slide. Y'all can pause it and go do your research on him. But these Jews, to take away, these Jews were more black than any other color. This is what this traveler noted in this book. Let's go forward. This is more proof. Some people want to say that this is a misnomer, that Hitler didn't say this, but this is what Adolf Hitler said. Hitler said even in his death, he will start World War III. One of his soldiers asked how. Hitler replied, "The day mankind finds out what I was trying to defend, this nation, Germany, from then, that's the day World War III will start." Alright, I'm going to just jump down. And this is what he says. "Do you know who America has in its possession?" The soldier replied, "No." This is what Hitler said. "The American has the jewels of God. The Americans have the jewels of God. The Americans have stolen God's precious jewels." "What do you mean, the precious jewels?" the soldier asked. Hitler said, "America has stolen the jewels of God, his jewelry, the Negroes. They are the true Hebrews." From Hitler. Do your research. Don't take my word for it. Let's go forward. More proof. A book quote. This is a book quote from the 1900s. "The Negro in the New World" by Sir Harry Hamilton. Sorry about the picture that is covering it up, right? But this is a picture from that actual book, I believe. It's, like I said, I did this in 2018, so I'm not 100% sure. Today's date is what? Today is March 22nd, 2020. So, you know what I mean? It's first time looking at this information in a minute. But this is a quote from that book. "The Jews are composed of 3 or 4 separate elements: the Asiatic Negro strain, shows itself occasionally in the curly hair, the long eye, and proportions of the skull. The Jewish hybrids with the Negro in Jamaica, Guinea, Guinea reproduce most strikingly the Assyrian type. So these Jews, what do they have? They have curly hair, long eyes, and a long proportion of the skull. And here's a picture of an image out of that book of what he was depicting. Let's go for it. This is a book quote from the 1800s. Christian researchers in Asia, Reverend Claudius Reverend Claudius Buchanan, in 1811. All right, this is a quote from a Christian researcher. Let's see what he had to say. It is only necessary to look at the countenance of the black Jews to be satisfied that their ancestor must have arrived in India many ages before the white Jews. What? It is only necessary to look at the countenance of the black Jews to be satisfied that their ancestors must have arrived in India many ages before the white Jews. Their Hindu complexion and their very imperfect resemblance to the European Jews indicated that they have been detached from their parent stock in Judea many ages before the Jews in the West, and that there have been intermarriages with families not Israelites. I have heard that those tribes which have passed the Indus have assimilated so much to customs and habits of the countries in which they live, that they may be sometimes seen by a traveler without being recognized as Jews. The white Jews took upon the black Jews as an inferior race. What? The white Jews took upon the black Jews as an inferior race, and not of a pure caste, which plainly demonstrates that they do not spring from a common stock in India. The black Jews communicated to me much interesting intelligence concerning their brethren, the ancient Israelites in the East, traditional indeed in its nature, but in the general illustrative of true history. See, this is the information they don't want you to see. These white Jews was already looking down on. They was. Come on, we're gonna go for it. They was fraudulent. Let's go for it. Synagogue is saying that Revelation talk about. Let's gonna go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. All right, the proof. A quote from the second president of Egypt, Gamal Nasser. This is what he said. The Europeans claiming to be Jews are nothing more than Hebrew-speaking Gentiles. The late president of Egypt, Gamal Nasser, stated on television, "You will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black but came back white. We cannot accept you." He was speaking to the European Jews. I'll state it again. He says, "You, the Jews, will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black but came back white. We cannot accept you." This is Gamal Nasser, second president of Egypt. He served from 1956 until his death in 1970. Nasser led the 1952 overthrow of the monarchy and introduced far-reaching land reforms the following year. Can't make this up. Do your research. Now let's move on to biblical scripture. So I gave you some history, right? I went and looked up history for myself. Then I went back to the Bible after I said, "Man, all this stuff in history." And so I went back to my Bible and said, let's see what's going on. Go back. The Most High promised to Abraham. This is what the Most High promised to Abraham. He said unto Abraham, this is Genesis 15:13. He said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Who has that happened to? Just keep going. Acts 7:6. And God spoke to this effect, that his offspring would be sojourners in a land belonging to others, who would enslave them and inflict them 400 years. The beginning of the slave trade in America in Jamestown, Virginia was in 1619. 1619 to 2019, that equals 400 years. So what? Yes, the captivity is up. The 400 years is up. We are waking up and finding out who we are. Praise Yahuwah. Praise for Yahuwah for giving me the strength and the boldness to even present this to you.
Identity theft. So one of the most famous scriptures there is. Most people know this scripture. Won't spend long on this slide. His hair was like wool, as white as snow. His feet was like fine brass, as if they been burned in the furnace. When something gets burned in the furnace or something gets burned, what color does it turn? Easy. Black. Let's go.
Okay, this is a quote from Yahusha, which you know is Jesus, who we know is Jesus, because we will learn of him in a different tongue, but his name is Yahusha, right? If you can't see it, it's Luke 21, I believe, verse 24. It says, they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So in Luke, they was talking about the Jews being taken captive and taken into all nations, like we learned earlier, the Arab slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade, and a multitude of other slave trades. Back in Egypt, in the Exodus, they was already enslaved too. Right? And it says, Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Who's in Jerusalem? Who controls Jerusalem? Now this is scripture. This is scripture. Alright? Let me calm down. This is scripture. But who's controlling the Jerusalem? Who's trodden down Jerusalem right now? The Gentiles. So but they're saying they're Jews. Let's keep going.
Yahusha answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He was only sent to Israel. Those are the people that were lost. If anybody needs saving, that's who needs saving. Israel.
Yahusha sent his disciples to the Israelites to preach the gospel. Like even when we read in scripture, who did the disciples go visit? They didn't go visit Gentiles. Now it might have been Gentiles among the Israelites because they knew the truth and who to follow. All right, Matthew 10, 5 and 7. Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 through 7. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of Samaritans enter ye not. He said, what? Go not into the way of the Gentiles. This is what the Messiah was saying. And into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. So don't go where the Gentiles are. He says, but Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Let's go forward. Deuteronomy 28:37. Astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. So we will be an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Ain't that astonishing? You see that? When you look at that, man, it's like, how could people do that? Let's go. Let's keep on.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Deuteronomy 28:41. We got young men like about 1 or 2, like my son age, into captivity. I couldn't imagine.
This was prophesied that we would serve other gods. It was prophesied that that would happen. That's why we lost, because we got to serving other deities. Okay, in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36, this is the proof that this was going to happen. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. I never knew what this meant until I found out who the people were. The true people. I never knew what this meant. Never knew what this meant. He says, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, because we was going to want a king over us. Why? You know what I'm saying? When Yahusha is the king, that's who over us. Right? Now, we know that. Unto a nation, he says, that the king which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. When they brought us over here, did we know what was going on? I know y'all seen the movie Roots. Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. I'll go ahead and read the other scripture. Deuteronomy 4:28. And there shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear, nor eat nor smell. So what is the wood and the stone? You can already see by this slide. The wood that most of us serve is Christianity, the cross, which has always been a symbol of terror to the Hebrews. They used to burn these in the yards when they used to firebomb people's houses. And this is what we bow down to. The wood is the cross. Alright, the stone is the cobblestone. The stone is the cobblestone, which the Muslims pay homage to. Those are the two predominantly religions that we serve. Those are actually is idol worship. Unplug from the matrix. I told you, gotta unplug. Let's keep going. All right, Jeremiah 17:4. I know it's a lot of information we're gonna gotta get through. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. So this is, they're talking to the Jews again, the Hebrews. All right, the Hebrews again. He says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. As you can see, I got a picture here of us in servitude in a land that we do not know, serving our enemies just because we disobeyed. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy 28:37. Astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. So we will be an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Ain't that astonishing? You see that? When you look at that, Man, it's like, how could people do that? All right, and we turn around. It's nothing but the love of the Most High, man. God said, "I love all people, because the Most High love me, and I know why this happened." Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we will be a byword: Negro, Black, African American. What was the other terms? More, um, whatever else the other terms, derogatory terms. A byword. Well, it's Hebrew. Let's go. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy 28:48. Let me pull my scripts out real quick, man. Deuteronomy 28:48. Let's see what I was trying to pull out there. It's probably the yokes of iron. Probably that's if I had to guess. If I had to guess, let me go to it real quick. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in all the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. What other nation of people have had a yoke of iron on their neck? Because I know you're going to say, man, it's been many slaveries. But pull up some pictures where some other nations had a yoke of iron put around their neck during that captivity. Let's go for it. Deuteronomy 28:48, same scripture. Thou shalt put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. You see it here again. These slaves got a yoke of iron on their neck. Nappy headed, curly headed, bearded men. Let's go for it. Deuteronomy 28:49. I don't know why my slide cutting out like that, but I'm going to read from this word. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. He says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. As we can see here, this is where the United States sits. Right? This is the United States. If you go down, you can see what Africa is. It says, the nation will bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, and a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And I went into as swift as the eagle flies. It might be on in this as well. I'm not sure, but I got a YouTube video talking about that. Look at your dollar bill. You'll see an eagle on the back of it. Man, you can't make this up. Let's go. All right. This is Oda Banger. I don't know if any of you know who this is. I threw this in here just because you can see what type of the type of cruelty, the type of punishment that we went through as captives, as slaves. You know what I'm saying? But the Bible prophesies that. Oda Banger story. In 1904, just under 5 feet tall, weighing 103 pounds, Oda Banger was kidnapped from the Congo, a house in a zoo to be exhibited with monkeys. Reportedly, there were crowds up to 500 people that gathered around to see Oda Banger. He was held in a chimpanzee cage with orangutan and a parrot. While crowds massed to leer at him, Banger, who said to be 23 but appeared far younger, sat silently on a stool, staring, sometimes glaring through the bars. This took place in New York Zoological Gardens after the end of slavery. So slavery had ended. This is 1904. Not that long ago, they had put this man inside of a zoo with an orangutan and a parrot. Let's go for it. Samuel P. Verner took Banga captive in the Congo and brought him back to the United States. So this gentleman right here, he's the one that took, and I'm giving him some praise, I guess, with that word gentleman. But all right, but he took the older Banga from the Congos and brought him to the United States, and he placed them in this zoo. Let's go forward. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians? Oh, Amos 9:7. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith the Lord. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Kaphar, and the Syrians from Kir? And I got a picture here, man. As you can see, he's saying, as we not like the Ethiopians. You can see James Harden, and we see an Ethiopian man here on the left. It ain't much different, is it? Not much different. So we like the Ethiopians to the Most High. Come on, let's go. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall redeem you. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to say, man, we ain't went back to Egypt. We didn't go back to Egypt in slavery. The word Egypt means bondage, or Mitzrayim in Hebrew. So he was going to take us into bondage again by ship. As you can see that, look at how our ancestors was packed on these ships, man. And they brought us over here to call us Negro, Black, African American, whatever color. We was Hebrews. Let's keep going. We back here again. You got to make a decision. We're an hour into this lecture. You have to make a decision to take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. Or you can take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Make a decision. I'm only offering you the truth. Nothing more. Let's go. Alright. Isaiah 52:2-3. More evidence. It says, shake thyself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For this saith the Lord. Bear with me. Let me go to the scripture, because I can't even see it. I can't quote it. You know, I'm not that smart. Let's go to it. Let's go to it. Praise y'all, man. Praise Yahuwah. Isaiah 52:2-3. It says, awake, awake, put on thy strength. So wake up, man. Snap out the matrix. That's what the Bible is saying. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake thyself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus saith the Lord, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money. So it wasn't going to be nobody that can buy us. The only way we're going to be redeemed out of this captivity, which the captivity is really up, but the only way we're going to be redeemed, be saved, is what? Repent. Let's go. How to be redeemed. I ain't even know this was on here, man. Let's keep going, though. How to be redeemed. Deuteronomy 31:6. chapter 30, 1 through 8. And I'm gonna just read from the book, man. I know y'all got it up there on the screen, but I'd rather read from the book. 1 second, man. I know this is long, but it's much needed. I hope that y'all are being edified from this. And it should come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee. And shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That then the Lord God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord God hath scattered thee. You know that it's people in Africa that's still getting taken into slavery, right? We in all the nations, we've been captive in all the nations. So that's why he says in verse 3 that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. I'm just going to skip down to verse 8, man, for the sake of time. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, or Yahuwah. Thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. So that's all. You know, he want us to keep his commandments. That's why this happened. When he redeemed us, that's what's happening now. You waking up. You're starting to wake up, and the way to be redeemed is, and the way we can be redeemed is to keep these commandments. Let's go. Alright. The spirit of truth. After all this, we coming down to the last couple slides. The spirit of truth. We are Israel, God's chosen people. African American, Negroes, blacks, Indians. We are God's chosen people. We are Israel. Deuteronomy 7:6, he says, For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that upon the face of the earth. That's why we was able to rise from slavery and be in the point that we in now. Not that we've came far, but that's why. Because of this. He says, the Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that upon the earth. Let's go. So, in conclusion, this is how, I guess in 2018, this was a rightful place to conclude this lecture. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Read it one more time. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. If you don't matter what nation you are, don't matter what color, what creed you are, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. I do not want anybody being upset with me after this. I love everybody, once again. If you practice righteousness, I love you. Right? Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. We have to keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. Let's go forward. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, our nationality is Hebrew Israelite. Feel free to contact me. I guess I'll be posting this on YouTube or wherever, Facebook, I guess. But feel free to contact me. I don't have it all figured out. I just pray. I try to be obedient to the Most High, and I try to walk perfect. Um, I stumble just like everybody else, I guess. But I said it's time out for stumbling, right? It's time out for that. Right, it's time out for that. We don't have to. The Most High said there is one that can't be perfect. Go ye therefore and be perfect, because your Father in heaven is perfect. Right? But you can reach out to me if you need any information. If I don't have the answers, we can research it, or I can point you in the right direction. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. See what this lasts. I always just say we are the true Jews once again. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Peace and shalom. And I love you all dearly. Coach Bland, I keep Bland. I'm tapping out, man. I love you. Shalom.